Am I the a-hole for stepping down as a bridesmaid just one day before the wedding? So last weekend, it was my sister-in-law's wedding. My sister-in-law is my fiancé's sister, to clarify. I've been with my fiancé for 5 years, and we've been engaged for 2. Before I got with my fiancé, his family was trying to get him to date another female friend of his, who he no longer talks to because she said some pretty horrible things about him and some of his friends. Plus, she was always trying to put me in my place since I started dating my fiancé, claiming she'll always come first in his life. Long story short, stuff happened and they no longer talk. We have a pretty close relationship with his family, especially his 2 siblings, his sister, the bride, and his brother. One day before the wedding, we were having a family lunch with the bride's family, and during lunch she started mentioning that female ex-friend of my fiancé. She started saying what a gorgeous girl she is and how pretty she is. My fiancé and I felt uncomfortable. And my fiancé was pretty pissed because that ex-friend has caused a lot of damage in my fiancé's life in the past. So it was hurtful for him to hear his sister praising her like that. But he stayed silent since he didn't want to cause drama during the wedding period. The nail in the coffin was when my sister-in-law said that it's a shame my fiancé never got to date female ex-friend, since I came along and took her place. Because she'd love to have her as a bridesmaid. But because of me, she can't, and she can't even call her a sister because of me. My mother-in-law told her to apologize and tried to do damage control, claiming my sister-in-law was joking. But sister-in-law said she's not joking. She really feels that way. Then proceeded to say she loves me as her new sister-in-law, but she'd just prefer female ex-friend. I kindly got up and excused myself, saying I'll head home. While I was gathering my stuff to leave, I also said I'd withdraw as a bridesmaid since I'm not really the one she wanted there, and that she should contact ex-friend while she still has time, and I'll give her my dress since we are the same size. Fiancé left with me, and while leaving, he said something along the lines of, "You never know when to shut your mouth," to his sister. Mother-in-law justified me walking out. So did my brother-in-law and father-in-law. They say bride's words were ridiculous. They tried to convince me to stay as a bridesmaid but respected my wish to walk out. My family, on the other hand, said I'm the a-hole for not sucking it up for one more day and walking away from the role while making the bride stressed. So, am I the a-hole? P.S. I still attended the wedding as a guest. Bride did not talk to me at all, but the groom did, and he said I'm right to be upset, but he thinks I shouldn't step down last minute over a joke. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I'm so glad your in-law stood up for you and supported your decision. However, for the groom to call her comments a joke is very wrong. Was he there when she initially said them? I hope you're doing okay, but you don't need her in your life. He wasn't there. It was the day before the wedding, and bride and groom just spent their days with their own families. He was with his family. Too bad Mr. Wiener mean girl making an appearance. If he hadn't, there may not have been a wedding. Not the a-hole. What a horrible thing to say. She clarified it wasn't a joke, so why does her husband still think it is? Yes, agreed. And the groom contradicts himself by saying Opie is right to be upset, but then in the next breath it's a joke? Not the a-hole. Your sister-in-law pissed around and found out. Also, it wasn't a joke. It was a calculated dig. It left you with no option but to step down. She didn't think I'd react, let alone step down. She thought I'd stay silent through it all. Mother-in-law told me afterwards. I can't believe you still attended the wedding. I would have left and Venmo'd her for the amount of the dress and the gift you bought. The dress wasn't expensive, thankfully, so I don't mind. Since nobody else used it, I'll keep it and have it tailored into a shorter party dress. As for the gift, it was a mutual gift from me and my fiancé, so I wouldn't want to cause more drama by asking for the money back, you know. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my cousin that my best friend slept with her fiancé while we were on vacation? For context, I have known my best friend for about 10 years. We, both 23, met in middle school. My cousin, 25 female, and her fiancé, 28 male, have been dating for about 8 years and engaged since March 2020. The wedding is in December, and because of COVID, we hadn't been able to celebrate the engagement until recently. So my cousin and my uncle rented a house in Italy for a week. It was going to be the cousins, the ones over 18, my cousin's friends, her fiancé, and some of his friends. All we had to do was cover plane ticket expenses. My cousin asked if I was planning on inviting my best friend as well, and that she was welcome to come if I wanted. Of course I said yes. Fast forward to the trip, everything goes fine. We all have a great time. I noticed that my best friend and fiancé are getting along pretty well, but nothing alarming. They had met multiple times prior at different events. I mean, everyone was getting along, so nobody thought anything of it. One of the last nights, we decided to go out. We are having a great time dancing, drinking, and suddenly my best friend tells me and my cousin she's super tired and is going to take a taxi home. Fiancé hears this and tells us he's going to head home and call it a night as well. They order a taxi and another friend of Fiancé's joins them. We end up going home early that morning after watching the sunrise, then head to bed. Everything is fine. We go back home a few days later. About a month passes and life has gone back to normal. Except my best friend is being a bit weird. I share an apartment with her, by the way. Until one night we are sitting down on the couch and she just breaks down and tells me she has something to tell me, and that she feels awful about it, but I have to promise not to tell anyone. I say of course, because, well, this is my best friend. She proceeds to tell me that on the night they left the bar early, they ended up sleeping together. That they were smoking outside and started talking and ended up having some more wine, and that it just happened. I was stunned. I didn't know what to say. I told her, I can't believe you've done this. You've ruined my cousin's life. She tells me that if I don't tell her, she will never know, and we get into a huge fight. A few days later, I decided to go to my cousin's house and tell her, not because I want to hurt anyone, but because she needs to know who she is marrying. She's pissed, calls her fiancé, and everything goes downhill from there. Now my whole family's so angry at my best friend and at me for bringing her. They're currently not speaking to me, saying I should have picked my friends better, that I've played a part in ruining her life. My best friend is also pissed, I told her, saying she feels betrayed and like she can't trust me anymore. My cousin is the only one who's on my side, but she's a bit busy trying to figure everything out. Am I the a-hole for telling her? Not the a-hole. Let me see if I can get this straight. Your best friend slept with a man who was in a committed relationship with your cousin. The best friend has the nerve to be angry at you for telling the woman whose life she messed up, who was your cousin, despite the fact that she slept with him. It was totally in the wrong. Your family, except the cousin, is all angry at you like this is your fault that the fiancé cheated? All you did was spare your cousin heartache before she married the man. The family should be thanking you for that, and be angry only at the friend and the man. The friend should be angry at her own actions and at the fiancé for putting her in this situation. Also, if the friend did want this getting back to the cousin, maybe she shouldn't have told Opie. I about lost my crap. The best friend is the one who feels betrayed. Lol, OMG. The entitlement in that one is legendary. Not stay home. As someone who's been cheated on and having so-called friends hide it from me, I'd have been more forgiving if I was told before. Your so-called best friend messed up. Your cousin's fiancé messed up. You did the right thing in telling your cousin. And everyone here needs to be pissed at the fiancé, who barely gets a mention. He is definitely the most at fault here, having cheated while in a committed relationship and told no one. Not day home. Not day home. There is no way you could have known your best friend and cousin's fiancé would sleep together. I don't understand how your family can say you chose your best friend over your cousin, when you actually told your cousin even though your best friend asked you not to. The only a-holes here is your cousin's fiancé and your best friend. Next story. Am I the a-hole for walking out in the middle of my boyfriend's birthday party? I, female 25, have been with my boyfriend, male 28, for 3 years. Our relationship is great, and we rarely fight. His birthday was days ago. I wanted to do something together, but his parents already decided to host the party at their house. My boyfriend got there first. I showed up after I got off work, and he was there with the guests, busy talking and greeting in the backyard. I took a seat in the back and the sister showed up with her husband and son Jake. We're not on good terms, by the way. He said hi, then asked if I could watch her son Jake. I was like, but she disappeared and left her kid with me before I could even answer. So I decided to just keep an eye on him till she gets back since he was sitting across from me. I spilled my drink on my top, which was messy. I gave Jake my phone to play on it and asked him to sit still till I get back. Then I went to use the bathroom to clean up the stain. Clearly, Jake walked towards the pool, and the floor was slippery, so he slipped and fell and injured his knee. That's when I heard loud noise coming from outside like people panicking. I went to see what's going on, and saw my boyfriend and his family with Jake. I heard my boyfriend's dad ask who was supposed to watch Jake, and his sister said my name. My boyfriend saw me and shouted, "Opie, where the hell have you been? How could you let this happen?" I was taken aback and said I was in the bathroom cleaning up the stain. He asked, "Is the stain more important than my nephew?" I explained that his family or his mother should have kept an eye on him. He said there are many guests, so they probably didn't notice, and said I should stop turning this around on his family since I agreed to watch Jake. I said no, I did not initially agree to watch Jake, and came to the party as a guest, not as a babysitter. And that his sister just dumped him on me and disappeared without even waiting to hear if I was going to say no. We had an argument, and I got fed up being presented with a hypothetical scenario after a hypothetical scenario of what could have happened if Jake fell inside a pool and was blamed to no end. So I grabbed my stuff and walked out. My boyfriend's parents saw me leave, and he followed me asking me to wait and return, but I refused. He said I have no reason to be upset, but more reason to be worried just like they all were, and insisted I go back inside, but I got in my car and left. He came back later looking pissed. He said that yes, while it might be his sister's fault for still bringing her son after he stated he didn't want kids there because of the pool, but said I ruined the party by walking out and refusing to take responsibility, and admit I should have made sure Jake was safe before leaving him out of my sight whether I agreed to watch him or not. He said his parents are rightfully upset and didn't appreciate my behavior earlier on. Then walking out, which hurt him on a personal level since his birthday, should mean something to me. I felt like he might be right and mishandled this entire situation. Am I the a-hole? Jake is 4 years old. Everyone sucks here. She shouldn't have ditched her kid with you, but it's not shocking to understand why you shouldn't leave a toddler alone, especially by a pool. Did you really think telling him to sit still was going to work? There's immaturity in both ends in this post. This. She should have found sister and said, I won't watch your kid. If you know you're the only adult watching a toddler and you leave the room without telling another adult, not okay. Regardless of how the situation came to be. Obviously, everyone else in this story sucks for obvious reasons. Yeah, I was very much no side at first because it's never okay to dump your kid on someone who doesn't agree to look after them. But she lost me very fast at the moment of walking away. Clearly, asking anyone else was not that hard. You could have even taken the kid with you if you couldn't find anyone to watch him. Child without supervision plus pool sounds like parents' worst nightmare. Everyone sucks here. I can totally see where you're coming from that you didn't agree to look after the nephew. However, you should have had someone else watch the child rather than leave them unattended. Whether that be the child's parents or grandparents or even your partner. Your partner was rightfully concerned. The child could have been hurt, and it would have been your responsibility because you were, in fact, watching the kid. But he shouldn't have had this conversation in front of everyone. You shouldn't have left the party either. Instead of doing this, you could have had a conversation with your partner afterwards, where you could have explained your frustrations at having the nephew left in your care when you didn't agree to it. I think all parties involved could have handled this situation better, including your partner's sister. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to talk to my son and husband until they apologized to my mother-in-law? My mother-in-law, Sandra, 69 female, is a weird woman. She refers to herself as that. She has random outbursts, hyperfixations, tics, and struggles immensely with social cues. She hasn't been diagnosed with anything, so I won't speculate. When I first met my husband's family, I noticed that all of them, except my husband, made fun of Sandra and her quirks. For example, we were having dinner one night, and my mother-in-law couldn't stop talking about flowers. She loves plants and nature and is super knowledgeable about it. My sister-in-law made a comment making fun of her, and everybody at the table laughed about it. Sandra got extremely embarrassed and did not talk for the rest of the night. This kind of behavior is normal in the family, and I despise it. I get so angry whenever someone makes fun of Sandra, because she is just such a kind, lovely woman that I just can't fathom why they do that. I've had a lot of conversations about this with my husband, and even fights when he laughs about the jokes. We have a son, 15 male, named Alex, and my biggest fear is becoming true. Alex has started to pick up the behavior around him. It has been laughing at Sandra. I've talked to him about why laughing at her is bullying, how that behavior is inappropriate, etc. But Alex doesn't seem to care. 2 weeks ago, we went to see Sandra. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law were there along their families. Sandra looked very happy. While catching up, she randomly started clapping, one of the tics that appear when she is excited. My brother-in-law made a comment poking fun of her, and the whole family laughed, including my husband and Alex. Sandra got teary-eyed and had to excuse herself to the bathroom. I've never been more furious, and while on our way home, I chewed my husband and son out, and told them to not speak to me until they apologized to Sandra. I told them that I don't want to hear a single word directed to me until they reflect on how their actions are hurtful and disgusting. 2 weeks have passed and I haven't spoken to them. Not a single word. Because they have made 0 attempts on apologizing to Sandra. My husband is telling me that I am being petty and hurting Alex. He is also mad at me for valuing my relation with Sandra more than my relation with them. In my mind, I am not doing that. But husband says that I am being an a-hole. Not an a-hole at all. So if I have the dynamics correct, your husband bullies his mother. Your son now is bullying his grandma. And basically everyone else in the family does it to her just because she gets happy over things and expresses it differently. It likes to talk about things that make her happy. They are mean to her to the point she cries and they all think this is okay. Your husband has trained your son to be a bully and that laughing and watching other people hurt is funny. This was painful to read. I can't imagine how many years poor Sandra has had to live with being treated this way. I hope she knows that you love and accept her just the way she is. I vote OPCs if mother-in-law wishes to get an apartment together. She sounds like a better roommate than husband or son. That's a great idea. Lol. Sandra owns the house my brother-in-law lives in, so maybe I'll convince her to kick him out so we can both move there. For real. Reading the comments, I see that my marriage is doomed if I don't correct this behavior. Edit. It's a joke. I won't abandon my child or anything similar. Please don't tell me I'm an awful mom. They're tormenting a woman who clearly is neurodivergent. It's disgusting. I am with you. Both need to learn not to pick on disabled people. I would also be guessing my marriage too if I were you. Am I the a-hole for not letting my miracle baby niece be my flower girl at my wedding? My 27 female, older brother and sister-in-law, both mid-30s, just welcomed their first child a year and a half ago, after years of trying. After many failed attempts, sister-in-law was told that she wouldn't be able to conceive due to a medical condition she has. Then they finally got pregnant. Since having my niece, the baby has been the center of attention at every family event we've had since she was born. Birthdays, weddings, family get-togethers, you name it. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my niece. But it can get to be a little too much when my sister-in-law goes on and on about how long they tried to conceive, complications they've had, miscarriages they've had, etc. Like a little too much info. Many family members have commented on how it's a little bit excessive. But no one has said anything because they don't want to sound like an a-hole. Anyway, I'm getting married in the spring, and my brother and sister-in-law approached me last weekend about having my niece be the flower girl. Now, my fiancé, 35 male, has 2 children, 10 male and 6 female from his previous marriage. His son is one of the groomsmen, while his daughter had asked to be our flower girl when we told them the news that we were getting married a year ago, as it's something she always wanted to do. So, of course, we said yes. So, I explained this to my sister-in-law when she asked me about my niece. She asked if my stepdaughter can just carry my niece with her, and I said I don't think she'd be comfortable with that considering she's 6. She then asked why I can't give that role to my niece and allow herself to carry my niece down the aisle as a flower girl. I said no, because I already promised my stepdaughter. She then started going off about how my lack of effort to incorporate my niece is disgusting to her. I should honor her in some way, since I know how long and hard they tried for my niece. Now, I may sound like an a-hole for this, but I kind of got fed up and snapped and said, incorporate my niece how? By the time the wedding comes around, she'll be 2 years old. The entire family already knows your story about how long and hard you guys tried for her. What more do you expect me to do to honor her? She started crying and said that clearly I don't love my one and only niece, and I'm letting her down. I said, of course I love my niece, and obviously she's going to be involved in the pictures and stuff, but I'm not going to let my stepdaughter down by giving my niece a role she's too young to remember anyway. Well, now sister-in-law and my brother are angry with me for not letting my niece be flower girl, and are running around telling the rest of the family I don't love my niece. My mom had been trying to stay neutral, but thinks my stepdaughter would understand if I explained to her I need to give that role to my niece. I'm firm in my decision though, and my fiancé is thankful that I didn't let his daughter down. Am I the a-hole for not allowing my niece to be the flower girl? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Let them be pissed. If ever there was a time to take a stand for your stepdaughter, it is now, without knowing her story or how she came to be part of your life. She's 6 years old, and you've made a commitment to be in her life. The moment you make it official revolves around her as much as it does you. You absolutely have every right to honor the stepdaughter over the niece. In these first moments, a stepmom are going to cause the ripple that forms the pond that is your relationship for her whole life. Trust me, if you back down now and give her spot away, it's going to ruin more than just your wedding. I 100% agree. I came from a family with 2 divorced parents myself, and I'll never forget how horrible I felt when my dad and stepmom's wedding I wasn't included in it at all. Yet my younger brother was one of the groomsmen. Having that experience myself, I'd never want my stepdaughter to feel that way, or that she isn't involved in such a special day. It just caused so much drama in the family that is so unnecessary. Stop thinking of it as your decision causing drama, and start correctly calling it your sister-in-law causing drama, because she wants to be the center of attention at your own wedding. It's your day, not hers. Not the a-hole. She's their miracle baby, not yours. The fact that they want you to disappoint your soon-to-be stepdaughter in order to make their daughter the focus of your wedding is absurd. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my daughter, who eloped, cash for her honeymoon? My daughter Jane recently eloped with her partner of 5 years. My wife and I were excited when they got engaged to plan a wedding, but she said she didn't want to rush setting a date or planning a wedding. This was understandable to us, and we didn't want to rush them either, but we let her know we would contribute a set amount to her wedding when the time came. Then last week, she tells me she has an announcement, and that they actually eloped together, because they decided they didn't want the big event with all the attention on them. This was a little disappointing, but we understood. She's never been the type to want to be in the spotlight, so while we weren't expecting it, it wasn't the biggest shock in the world. What did feel like a shock is when she assumed we'd just give her that amount of cash straight up. She said they wanted to use it to take a month-long traveling sabbatical/honeymoon. My wife and I told her the money we were prepared to give her was for a family event, not just for her to do as she pleases. If she didn't want a traditional wedding, that's fine. But we never told her we were just giving her, say, $15,000 for the act of getting married. We just didn't want her to have to spend a ton of her own funds on a wedding. And since relatives and family friends would have presumably been there, we were happy to pay for it so she wouldn't have to. 2 of my nieces have gotten married in the last couple years, and it's a family event to us, not just about the 2 people getting married. This has caused a whole thing with her saying we went back on our word to her, but in my mind, we never told her otherwise. We did say if she wants a second ceremony/family event to celebrate but would it be an official wedding, we would sponsor that. If she had asked if she eloped or had a tiny wedding if we would give her some of it for a honeymoon, we may have considered it, but it's hard to know because we were never given the request. They just went and did their own thing, which again is fine. Am I the a-hole for not giving her the cash we would have paid? Not the a-hole. Your expectations and conditions are entirely reasonable. It wasn't reasonable for her to assume that she could simply take the cash option here. A wedding with just the people getting married is only about a couple. A wedding with both families invited is a family event focused around a couple. Not the a-hole. You and your wife offering to contribute toward wedding expenses in no way means your daughter is somehow entitled to that money if a wedding does not take place. That's just entitlement on your daughter's end. Yes. And it's a conversation you have with your parents before you elope. I talked all my options out with my dad. He was willing to give us a set amount if we eloped, or contribute the same amount to a wedding. But it's a discussion, not I got married. Can I have the cash? My father-in-law told me if he were in my shoes, he'd take some of the wedding fund they had for us and maybe use it as part of a down payment on a house and cut expenses here or there with the event. So we did exactly that, but he explicitly said that was an option. Never in a million years would I have expected to just be gifted that money. Especially for a honeymoon. I mean, that doesn't mean it's not important to some people, but I can imagine parents being happier helping a child with a home over a once-and-done expense. My parents offered to kick in for a portion of my wedding, or give me the equivalent if we wanted a destination wedding. We never had a third option for cash. It was always for the wedding. Next story. Am I the a-hole for oversalting my brother-in-law's food? I, 29, may love to cook, and even more so when I'm cooking for other people. I'm also the kind of person who likes to be good at everything I do, so I put in a lot of effort into cooking and also always ask for feedback so I can make it better the next time. The one thing I ask for is that whoever I'm cooking for takes one bite before adding anything to it for two reasons. 1, I want to know how my cooking turned out. 2, it's kind of rude to assume someone's cooking is lacking before you even try it. I understand that people have different tastes and palates, and I wouldn't ask them to not put any more salt, pepper, or other seasonings after they try it. I just ask for one bite so I can get actual feedback. My brother-in-law, 36 male, doesn't agree with me on this, and when I've asked him to just try it before adding salt, he gets heated and says that he knows what he likes, and he should be able to do what he wants with his own food. I fully understand and support him eating his food the way he likes truly. But at the end of the day, how does he know whether or not I've salted my food enough if he doesn't take a bite first? Like I said, I'm always trying to improve. So I make changes dependent on people's feedback. So the recipes change every time I make them, adding a little bit here and taking away a little bit there. So there's no way for him to know how my next dish will come out. I also don't cook for him all that often. Maybe once or twice a month when the family's over. Anyway, the last time I cooked for the family, I made sure to put extra salt in because that was the feedback I got the last time I made that specific dish. Another thing to note is that brother-in-law adds salt to all of his food, and it's always a substantial amount of salt. So when I served brother-in-law's plate, yes, he can serve himself. I just like to also put effort into the presentation. I told him that I added more salt than usual, so he should try it before he adds salt. He said, "I'll do whatever I want with my food, thanks," and just brushed me off. We sit down to eat and immediately starts salting his food like usual. Everyone else is trying it and saying it's really good, and they give me a solid 8 over 10 when I specifically ask for a rating on a scale of 1 to 10. Brother-in-law takes a bite and makes a face. He's very fair, and so it really shows when he's irritated because he gets really red, and he was red as a brick. I asked him what was wrong with it, and then he accused me of oversalting his food on purpose, so that he'd ruin his food when he added more salt. Here's where I may be the a-hole. I responded by saying that maybe if he tried the food first, then he wouldn't have oversalted it himself by adding more salt. He got pretty salty, pun intended, over what I said, that my sister called me petty for messing with someone else's food, and now he's refusing to eat what I cook. My mom is a peacekeeper, so she's telling me to apologize, and my dad doesn't think I did anything wrong. So am I the a-hole? Edited to add. I added more salt to the whole dish before serving it to anyone. He got the same amount of salt as everyone else before he added salt on his own plate. I'm not sure if this matters, but I don't stare at people while they eat, and I'll wait until we're all done and we're doing dishes for feedback. I agree with commenters that it would be strange to just stare, wide-eyed and waiting for everyone to take their first bite. Also, I don't mind how anyone likes their food. They can have it as salty as they want. I just ask that they take a bite first instead of assuming that it won't be to their liking. I'd also never say anything about it to anyone I wasn't extremely close with. It's very common in our family to give honest feedback on stuff. My mom at her crafts, my dad with his cooking and woodworking. So it's very normal for us to have the kinds of interactions. Now for the top comments. So you put the same amount of salt into everyone's dish, but because it was an appropriate amount of salt for the dish, your brother-in-law adding additional salt made his oversalted? You didn't oversalt the dish. Your brother-in-law oversalted his own dish. Not the a-hole. You are way too nice. Him refusing to eat what you cook sounds like a win. No need to cook for the rude, entitled a-hole anymore. Remind them before he comes over again that he will need to make sure that he has eaten before coming over from now on. I frankly wouldn't invite sister-in-law or brother-in-law over for something that includes a meal-first attitude even before the salting issue, and for her enabling rudeness, generally unappreciative and downright rude. Tell your sister and mom that you are not apologizing. If he wants to be a patty child, then he can. I'd tell them the following. If he doesn't want to eat my food anymore, that is his choice. But I did not target him. I warned him of the extra salt in the dish. I asked him to just try one bite before he added salt, and he chose to ignore and dismiss me. That is not my fault, and I'm not going to apologize. This is it, right here. If Opie did not tell brother-in-law and only extra salted his plate, then maybe I could get behind the YTAs here. But Opie warned him, and he childishly dismissed the disclaimer. Absolutely not the a-hole. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to pay for dinner? Typing this out sounds insane, and I really don't think I'm in the wrong, but I just need to know. So a friend invited me to a dinner party at her house a few weeks ago, and the actual dinner party was last night. I asked if I should bring anything, but she said no, that is not a potluck. She'll be making dinner for everyone. There were 7 of us total and the food was good. During the meal, we were all laughing and called our friend the dinner host a chef because she made a big dinner for all of us. And we all said how much we appreciated it because it's hard to get everyone together at the same time. At the end of dinner, we all helped clean, wash the dishes, then have some wine. It started getting late, so people started to head out. And on our way out to dinner, host said don't forget to Venmo/Cash App/Zelle her. Some of us were confused because we had no idea what we had to send her. So I asked her, what am I sending you money for? And she said for cooking dinner. Me, I don't understand why we should pay. Her, because I spent my money and hosted the dinner and cooked. Me, none of us asked you to. You volunteered to do it, and you never mentioned paying until now. Her, I didn't do this for free. Me, you should have told us before you hosted that you expected this. I don't think it's fair to just bring this up and expect people to pay. She called me an a-hole and said again that she didn't spend hours to cook, grocery shop for free. I have never heard of this, like ever. We kept arguing, and after a while, I just Venmo'd her the $40 she asked for. I don't think I'm the a-hole at all, and some of my friends agreed with me. Some have said it's normal to pay for dinner during a dinner party at someone's house, so now I'm not sure. Edit. A lot of you have asked what she made, and it was some salad I've never heard of. The main course was smoked Gouda mashed potatoes with beef short ribs. A dessert I forgot the name of. I think she said she bought this from a bakery. She also made vegan mashed potatoes and vegan ribs for one of our friends who is vegan. She also made or bought chicken skewers as the appetizers. Even though she said not to bring anything, I brought rum cake from my local bakery. And yes, everyone brought something small. We also had charcuterie and cheese board that 2 of the girls brought. Some girls brought wine, and we even had one girl bring candles to set the mood. We are in the US and none are European. I spoke with some of the others, and although they had paid for a dinner party before, it was discussed first. No one has ever done what this friend did, which was spring an unexpected cost on us. All of us are in our early 30s. The group chat is going crazy right now because everyone is angry at her. Not the a-hole. What your friend did was extremely scummy. She invites all these people to dinner that she is making with no mention of paying before and after this. And then when everyone is done eating and finished cleaning, out of the blue she expects everyone to give her money? If I was expected to pay for a dinner without knowing until after I ate, I would have skipped the dinner entirely. Cut contact with his friend. She shouldn't be hosting dinner parties if she will put stunts like this. Some have said it's normal to pay for dinner during a dinner party at someone's house. No, this is not normal. It's normal at the restaurants, but at one's house? This ain't normal. And it sure isn't normal to wait until after the food was eaten and everyone helped to clean up. At a restaurant, guests get to choose the dinner as well. And not clean up, lol. $40 is a bummer, but in the long run, it's a small price to pay to learn that your friend is tacky, cheap, has bad manners, and has no social intelligence whatsoever. Consider it part of the cost of doing business as an adult, and handle your relationship with her in the future accordingly. Am I the a-hole for screaming at my pregnant sister-in-law that she's a witch and brat? My sister-in-law, 32, is 4.5 months pregnant. Since she discovered she is, she has been making various requests, which I am not happy about. To give some context, she demands that if we go to family dinners in a restaurant, we have to avoid certain places such as kebabs or sushi. But it doesn't just stop with that. It is basically anything. We can't go to cafes because she says the smell of coffee and pastries make her sick to her stomach, and that besides that, she can't drink coffee which she used to love. She is also in my friend's group which I introduced her to, and has the same attitude around clothes. We can't go shopping anymore because she will start crying that she can't wear the clothes, or that the heels won't fit her. We have told her that there must be clothes with a bigger size to complement her body now, but she says that is a waste of energy and money. In 3 weeks, it will be my 30th birthday, so I want to make it special. And since I was a child, my best friend and I's favorite food has been sushi, and we used to go out to this sushi place once a week. So, I found this restaurant who will deliver me these freshly made sushi rolls. And I have told sister-in-law today about this, so I can warn her about the potential nauseating smell that she says she hates. The moment I told her, she got very mad. She told me how selfish I was for choosing the main food that she cannot eat at the moment. I tried to explain to her that I had always planned this, and that I will also gather food specifically for her. But she did not hear me. She screamed that I was doing this on purpose, just to humiliate her like all the other times. It was then when I got very mad and screamed back in front of her whole family. We were previously alone, but after hearing her screams, people started to come. That she was being a witch since she found out she's pregnant, and that she's using it as an excuse to be a brat, and that now she's prohibited from being near my house the day of my birthday. After that, I was having none of it and went away with my husband, leaving her crying. All of this was yesterday, and since then, I have not stopped getting messages from Hub's family telling me to apologize. Because while she may have been behaving very demanding, she is pregnant and I shouldn't put through emotions like that, and that I was very cruel, especially for the sushi on my birthday thing. My husband agrees with me, but I am not sure. Maybe I have not been empathetic. But I have thought about me being pregnant and I wouldn't behave like that. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Pregnancy isn't an excuse for crappy behavior. Is it understandable why she can't have sushi? Yes. Does it mean she can dictate how you celebrate your birthday, especially when you had plans to accommodate her? Absolutely not. Not the a-hole. Also, now doctors do not forbid women from eating sushi or drinking coffee. Just make sure the sushi is fresh. And eat/drink it in moderation. Don't have it every day. Not the a-hole. Sushi is prime, and is especially nice to have on your birthday. Happy early birthday, Opie. Sister-in-law sounds entitled AF. There have been dozens of posts lately about pregnant women being extensively entitled, and it's ridiculous. I had hyperemesis for all 4 of my pregnancies. My diet and what was good was limited. Even so, the extent of my rules were no one shared my French fries. Do not steal a single fry. And my husband couldn't have hot peppers on his subs. Some of the time. He checked with me. On a good seat, I could tolerate the odor. I was hospitalized for hyperemesis and I learned to manage it after that. It was work. If someone's birthday treat was a restaurant specializing in coffee and hot peppers in a place I could not have safely gone to, I would encourage them to go, wished them happy birthday, and pleasantly said I would stay home. Because who wants to ruin someone's birthday? Tell them to knock it off. She can be a reasonable adult and go and eat something cooked, or not go, and recognize that this is temporary, and you get to celebrate your round number birthday even if she is pregnant. Not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter I don't like how she treats my husband? I am a mom of 3. My oldest daughter, Gracie, is from my first marriage who just turned 17, and I have Milo 10 and Lyric 7 with my current husband. My ex-husband and I separated days after Gracie's first birthday because he told me he wanted to see other women and wanted me to wait for him. I did not and filed for divorce. Though he always remained part of Gracie's life, he made it clear he only wanted me when it suited him. Then after the divorce, I met my current husband. Gracie was 4 before she was introduced to him, and her dad was angry when I found someone else. He hated my husband, and Gracie always knew it. I went through the courts when my ex would not stop bad-mouthing my husband to Gracie and did not leave her out of the adult issues we were having. The courts were not helpful at all and sent us to co-parenting classes. Gracie was hesitant with my husband, and she adored her dad and didn't want him to feel hurt. This is something she told a therapist when she was young. Then, when she was 8, her dad died, and it feels like ever since then there was no way my husband could be anything to her. We never expected him to be her dad, but to be someone she trusts and cares about. Gracie holds him at arm's length and doesn't treat him like a member of her family. She doesn't include him like she does extended family. An example was last March. She was spotlighted in her arts club, and she sent a group chat message to me, both sets of grandparents and her uncles and aunts, but did not include my husband. I mentioned it to my husband when I got home, and she made it home before me and still hadn't told him. I brought it up to her, and she said he wasn't on the need-to-know list for her. It hurts my husband, and I have tried to facilitate their relationship to be more, but I don't think it was enough. A couple of days ago, Gracie was saying she needed help with some engineering questions, and she wanted to go over to my brother-in-law's, sister's husband, brother's house to ask him some questions. I asked her why she had to go all that trouble when my husband could have answered the questions for her. She said it made more sense to her to ask her uncle's brother. This is when I told her I don't like how she does that, how she treats my husband like he's not there, like he's not part of the family. I told her we never ever ask her to replace her dad or to consider them the same, but she excludes him and keeps him out, and he has only ever been kind to her. I told her it's something I would like her to work on. She got mad and told me I chose to marry him. She didn't choose to have him in her life. She also said it wasn't my business what their relationship is like. I told her I'm her mom and I love her, and I'm his wife and I love him, and I just want them to get along. She's still angry at me and I'm trying to figure out if I did a wrong thing here. Am I the a-hole? I'll say no a-holes here. I think you and Gracie are both coming from genuine emotional places. Neither of you said anything trying to hurt the other. It's very natural for you to want her to have a good relationship with your husband. It's also pretty natural for her, given her life story as you present it, to not feel that close to him. And while it would certainly be very nice if she did put in more effort with him, I don't think it should be required of her. Often, when a parent tries to steer their child towards something, the child will go the other direction. As hard as it might be, I think the subject should be dropped and accept Gracie where she's at. Maybe in time, without the pressure, she will develop the love and respect for the role her stepfather has provided. We can't change how others behave, just how we react to their behavior. Not the a-hole for what you said to her. Sadly, your ex may have completely poisoned Gracie's mind when she was very young, to where she's turned into this hateful teen towards your husband. I don't know if there's ever going to be recovery from this. And shame on the courts as well. I'm sorry you're having to be stuck in the middle on this. I'd say your now-deceased ex is the true a-hole. It kills me that he managed to turn her against the idea of a relationship with my husband so well. I can understand being jealous to a point, but he's the one who wanted to be with others and expected me to wait around for him. He was such a selfish a-hole, and I wish I'd known that when I was married to him. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my friend and his fiancé move in with me? To me, this is simple that I've done nothing wrong, but some people are saying I'm an a-hole, so I'd like the opinion of this fine sub. So I am 28 male, and my friend Tom is 29 male, and his fiancée Kat is 31 female. Recently, Tom and Kat have come into financial issues and are unable to pay for their rent. As it stands, they can either move in with Kat's parents who live roughly 2 hours away, or they can move in with me until they find another place to rent. Now, they would rather move in with me. I live alone in a 3-bedroom house, so I have the space. It would be easier for them as they can stay near our other friends and close to Tom's work. There's also a lot of parks nearby, so Kat can take her dogs for walks. That's all well and good for them. However, the idea of living with someone, let alone 2 people, does not sit well with me. I have 1 bedroom where I sleep. The other 2 bedrooms are my home office and my library. Furthermore, I love the feeling of coming home to an empty house. Everything is as I left it, and I can properly unwind. Also, living alone makes it easier to bring girls over. So, I told Tom and Kat this, and they were not happy. They called me selfish for not sacrificing for them, said a true friend would help. So I told them the blunt truth, that I would be happy to help Tom. He works full-time and would respect my space. But I did not want Kat to live with me. Reasons being, she doesn't work, so she would be in my home much more than me. Her dogs are inside dogs, and I don't want that at all. And I told them that Tom has told me privately he gets frustrated that he comes home from work and still has to prepare dinner and do most of the chores. I told Kat she's lucky she's with someone who tolerates her and loves her, but I'm not like Tom. I'm not dealing with it. Kat breaks down crying at this point and calls me evil. I apologize to Tom, but tell him he knows my stance. This happened late last year. Right now, Tom and Kat are living with Kat's parents still, and I know it's hard for them. My mates know how Kat is and told me I did the right thing. However, people who are close to Kat are saying I'm a terrible person, and I put them in a situation which might ruin their relationship. So am I the a-hole for not letting my friend and his fiancé move in? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. They are. You don't owe anyone a place to live. And honestly, I would never ever let them stay even temporary. Kat seems like the person who would make you evict her to get her out once she gets her claws in. Opie, I would never under any circumstances let them live with you. And no one is entitled to the peaceful home you have created and paid for. I didn't even think of that. Fair point. Kat would go full-on squatters' rights. Plus, move in her druggy mates in the meantime with their dogs. I mean, I saw some horrifying things that happened to people in legal Reddit. More than likely, Kat, who is jobless, would begin getting mail at a property. Once that happens, Opie would be considered her landlord, and in order to get her out, he would be in a lengthy, costly court battle. What other prospects does an adult like Kat, with no job and doesn't do chores or cook, have? Reading your comment literally made me shiver. I don't think it would have ever gotten to that point, but anything is possible, and I'm glad I'm not risking going down that path. Not the a-hole. Tom and Kat aren't looking for a place to stay for a couple of weeks in an emergency. They're looking for a long-term place to live. They got kicked out of their old place because they couldn't pay the rent. They're not magically going to be able to afford to rent a new place. Part of me thinks that's true as well, especially if they get comfortable. They're not comfy at mom's place, yet they remain. Every day they stay lets you know how long they would have been at yours. Plus, extra time once they get comfy. Easily a year. You're fine and they have a roof. Last story. Am I the a-hole for bringing the receipts when my ex had me shunned from our mutual friend group? So, my 26 female ex-boyfriend, 27 male, broke up with me a week ago. It felt sudden to me, and there was no warning it was going to happen. However, we handled it very amicably in my opinion, and he wanted to try and stay friends. I met him online through a mutual friend, and had been friends with him and the rest of the group for a few months before dating. When I went into hospital back in August, I sort of just fell away from that group of people where I couldn't be online. However, one of our mutual friends had caused a lot of drama and we both cut her out of our lives because it was very toxic. Now, in December, she reached out to me, apologized, and we started to talk slowly again. My ex-boyfriend during this whole time would message me and tell me over Discord that he hated her guts. She was an insert bad word here, and that I could talk to her but he was completely done with her. I'd always ask him about hanging out with other friends, or playing games with other people and encourage him to do so while I was sick and or offline. His responses were always, I don't really talk to anyone anymore, or I only want to talk/play with you. And when I dig deeper, he said they all just fell out of touch. Fast forward to the breakup. The first thing he does after our apparently amicable and no hard feelings talk was to go straight to that mutual friend he said he hated with a passion and tell her everything I ever did or said wrong in our relationship. He told her a private conversation we had where I jokingly brought up how often she cycled through flings and told her and every other mutual friend we had that I was the reason he stopped talking to everyone. That he was worried I'd get jealous or upset if he talked to/played with anyone else but me. Because, and I'm quoting him verbatim here, I know how I would feel in that situation and I didn't want to put you through that. I'm sorry, what? So this friend came for me hard over DMs and asked why I would say and do such things. I was shocked and extremely hurt. I never would ask/make someone give up his friends or isolate them from anyone, as this seems controlling and I didn't want that. But my petty self said, screw this. I went through our past conversations, took screenshots, and privately messaged everyone who told this BS to, apologizing that I was the reason they lost their friend. Then followed up with the pictures to prove he did this on his own and against my wishes. These photos may or may not have also shown the crap talk he said about that one mutual friend. He's been blowing up my phone since, asking how could I do that and call him out like that. All he wanted was a clean break and to get his friends back, and that I'm an a-hole for making them question him. I haven't responded because, in my opinion, he lied about me and our relationship to friends we both had, who then took his side no questions asked and kicked me out of their lives and Discord servers based off word of mouth. So guys, am I the a-hole for sending proof to our friends? So, not the a-hole. I can't even imagine how twisted he got himself to try and throw you under the bus like that. I assume it was his way of getting closure, but it was very cruel and so out of left field, especially since he was the one who broke things off. I'm sorry you have to deal with such short-sighted self-satisfaction, and hope you have a bright future ahead. Thank you very much. The experiences I've had this past week are making me realize the breakup is a blessing in disguise. Sounds like a situation I was in with online friends. The guy tossed me under the bus to make himself look good and me look bad. I let it go at a time, but over the months and weeks after, they'd ask me questions, and I'd just share screen with them so they could see unedited Discord conversations. Your guy fooled around and found out. He got exactly what he deserved. Zero sympathy for him. You absolutely dodged a bullet, just like I did. Remember this going forward too. It's a life lesson, not a hole. I am so sorry you went through that. It's never good when someone tries to ruin a reputation. I am technologically illiterate 99% of the time and wouldn't know how to edit anything on a laptop or PC if my life depended on it. All my screenshots were from my phone, and they knew immediately nothing was cropped or edited. Am I the a-hole for what I said to my sister after she insinuated I should sell a car and give her money? I am 48 years old, married but child-free by choice. It's something my wife and I agreed on early in our relationship. We both have pretty good jobs and are able to afford many expensive items and activities. I attribute this to our jobs, obviously, but also the fact that we are child-free and live in a one-bedroom apartment. I own a manufacturing plant that was given to me from my father. On that property, I store 4 classic cars that I have bought/restored. I have always been a car guy, and I plan to buy another car in the next year too. I have one sister who is younger than me and never made the best decisions in life. She has a boyfriend who she lives with after getting divorced twice. She's also in her late 40s, and she has 2 kids who already seem smarter than their mom. She makes an okay living, but she's the breadwinner while her boyfriend that she lives with spends most of his time stoned and playing Xbox. He's always looking for a new job or blaming the capitalist system for him not having a job. Her daughter 10 is a very good singer. I don't have an ear for talent, but to me she's very good. My sister has wanted to enroll her in lessons with a private coach but cannot afford it. Sister has asked me to help her out, since she is embarrassed to ask our parents and she also does not speak to the father of her daughter. I declined politely, until she made a comment about my money and cars. Just another must-be-nice comment that I'm all too sick of hearing. Now, here is where I made my a-hole comment. I said, maybe if your boyfriend can put down the dope for all of 10 minutes, he can help you out. And I have 5 cars, I'll buy another 5 before I give you a dime. I said her daughter isn't my responsibility. She's got a mother and a father. If they can't figure it out, it doesn't fall on my shoulders. My sister called my wife and told her how mean I was to her. My wife now wants us to give the money, but I don't want to. Sure, we can afford it, but I'm not my sister's welfare. Last bit, I'm sure some of you will make a comment about how I refer to her daughter, not my niece. Well, they live in another state and have for the entirety of her life. I don't see my sister nor her kids much at all, so I don't really know her kids too well. I send them birthday and Christmas gifts, but I'm not close with them. Edit, this is coming up a lot in comments. My sister could have had a stake in the business, but she didn't want to work there. I worked for my dad all my life and learned a business, but she never did. She knew she wouldn't be getting anything with it, and she was okay with that. I also have given financial support to her before. Now for the top comments. Some people here are missing this piece. I declined politely until she made a comment about my money and cars. Just another must-be-nice comment I'm all too sick of hearing. Bolded is my emphasis. So it's been years of making snide and passive-aggressive comments by the sister. The sister that is too ashamed, or too chicken, or just maybe, has depleted the parents' money train because of her constant begging. Maybe she's made too many snippy comments to the parents too, and they've finally had enough. Now, if she'd been nicer all these years, Opie probably wouldn't hesitate to help out. Opie took on the family business. Opie has made it a continued success. Opie made personal choices that resulted in having a comfortable life. Nobody is obligated to help raise or fund their siblings' children. Sister seems to have a habit of making not-so-smart life choices. That is not Opie's problem. Could Opie have been nicer? Less insulting? Sure. But even the most patient people finally have enough. And that's what this sounds like. Not the a-hole. My brother's ex-wife does this every time my mother gives him something. My mother gave him her old car instead of trading it in when she got a new one, and his ex did the "wow, must be nice" sneer and condescend, and my brother just smirked and said, "It is nice." You were honest about your perspective, and it sounds like your sister needs to get in touch with honesty/reality about herself and others. If she's been expecting other people to take greater care of her and her children than she does, that's unrealistic at best. The articulation may have been frank, but it sounds like she needed, and OP definitely needed, to have a vivid picture painted. I say not the a-hole. She acts this way because she's one of those "nothing is ever my fault" people. Next story. Am I the a-hole for removing my daughter's bedroom door because she won't stop slamming it? I, 40 female, have 3 kids. Maggie, 14 female, Levi, 12 male, and Charlie, 10 male. Levi and Charlie share a bedroom, and Maggie has her own room as the oldest and also only girl. Maggie's a great kid. She does her homework, helps with chores without too much complaint, doesn't bug her little brothers too much. The issue is that she will not stop slamming her bedroom door. When she gets up to use the bathroom at night, she slams her bedroom door on her way out and back in. When she gets up in the morning or goes to bed at night, she slams it. Pretty much any time she enters or exits her room, the door gets slammed. And it's only her door, none of the other doors in the house. It shakes the walls and frequently wakes up everyone else in the house. Her brother's room shares a wall with hers, and our bedroom is directly above theirs. We've talked to her about it and asked her very politely to please be more mindful about it because it is disturbing the rest of us. But it's in one ear and out the other. We tried being more forceful about it, saying that if she continues to slam her door, there will start to be consequences. Still, nothing changes. It all came to a head the other night when she got up to use the bathroom and all 4 of us were woken up by the slamming. I have to be up at 5 a.m. for work, and I've had enough of the broken sleep and came downstairs and knocked on her door. She opened it and said, "What?" with such attitude it took a lot of self-control not to start yelling. I told her as calmly as I could that if she slammed that door one more time, she was going to come home and find it gone. She proceeded to yell at me to leave her alone, and then slammed it 5 times as hard as she could. Well, the next day, Friday, she went to school and my husband and I both had a day off, so we took the door off the frame and installed a curtain rod with a nice heavy curtain over the door instead. She came home and freaked the heck out. She said we're being emotionally abusive and taking away her right to privacy. She sulked all weekend and won't talk to us now. My mother says I'm the a-hole because I overreacted, but she doesn't have to deal with the house shaking. I want to add that we completely respect each other's privacy in our house, which is why we hung up a heavy curtain and made sure that we couldn't see through it or around it. We even put little Velcro pieces on the walls and curtain sides so it stays in place. She still has her physical privacy, which she is absolutely entitled to, but can't slam a piece of fabric. We also have never and still don't just go into her room unannounced and still knock on the wall to ask permission to enter. We've told her we'll happily put her door back on once she agrees to respect the no slamming rule. So am I the a-hole? Added to add. 1. The curtain is an industrial type that blocks sound and light. 2. The curtain is only meant to be a temporary measure. As soon as she agrees to stop slamming and be respectful of the shared space, we will put it right back on. 3. The door isn't broken or malfunctioning in any way, and there is no draft causing it to swing shut. Not the a-hole. Interrupting everyone's sleep is unacceptable. You gave her plenty of opportunities to change the door slamming behavior, and she didn't do it. Let her sulk it out for a set amount of time. Let her know this amount. 1 week, 3 days, whatever you choose, then return the door conditionally for a trial. If she can refrain from slamming it, the door gets taken off again for even more time. Rinse and repeat until she no longer slams. The slamming it a few times in a row was the point where the door had to go. Opie's daughter might not have meant to wake others, but at that point it was teenage spite. My nephew lost his door for slamming it, and when he got it back, he requested padding to help cushion the door. He actually lost the door when he slammed it shut and broke his little brother's foot during an argument. I think that made him feel worse than the actual grounding. My mother would have tanned my hide if I ever slammed a door spitefully, let alone waking up the whole household in the middle of the night. Different times, I know, but kids these days. Not the a-hole. That's what I call checkmate. You're teaching your kid a valuable lesson, that actions have consequences. and she is even able to reverse this decision if she agrees to not slam, which for some reason she won't agree to it. P.S. The curtain was a great touch. I think she'll agree once she's done sulking. She's digging her heels right now because she's a 14-year-old carbon copy of me. Once it goes back on though, I won't even mention the situation again, as long as the slamming doesn't start up again. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad he and his wife need to look at themselves for the reason her son is struggling? My dad has me, 16 male, and my brother, 11 male, and our mom died 8 years ago. Dad met Chantal 6 years ago, and they got married 2 years ago. Her son is 10, and my brother and I have known Chantal and her son for almost 4 years now. Chantal's son, Kyle, is an only child, has no dad, no extended family, so he latched onto me fiercely when we met. It was frustrating how he'd insert himself into stuff with my brother. He'd invite himself along, he would try to touch me and hold on to me, and my dad and Chantal told me to allow it and hug him when I'd tell them it made me uncomfortable and annoyed me. Eventually, I started to stop him and tell him not to touch me and not to cling to me. Dad and Chantal realized the three of us hadn't bonded the way they wanted us to. For Kyle. So they insisted on leaving me with both him and my brother and having me babysit them while they left the house. This was during the day and night. Dad would also set up times where I had to take them to the park. So I should bring up my brother and I are close. Like super close. We lost our mom, all 4 grandparents, and our only uncle, though we have aunts, in a space of like 3 years. Losing them made us closer. I was always an affectionate big brother, my mom used to say, and our relationship is so easy and natural that we hug, or I'll ruffle his hair, or he'll sit on me sometimes if he wants something. None of it is forced, and it just kind of happens. Kyle saw a lot of that during the forced babysitting, the forced park trips, etc. And he never got to hang all over me, or be my shadow like he wanted, and I'm not affectionate with him. And it's caused him a lot of trouble dealing with stuff. Chantal was concerned, and so we went to therapy for that. He admitted to being jealous and that he hates my brother, but he also wants me all to himself. He's still in therapy, but he told Chantal that he's never going to be happy not being my brother. Chantal and Dad blamed it all on me. They said I had a responsibility to Kyle to be a good brother to him, and that it was my job as the oldest to look out for him and make sure I was loving him the same as I love my brother. My dad has brought it up a couple of times on his own as well. At the last time, I told him that he and Chantal should look at themselves because they knew Kyle was seriously clinging with me, and they sent him out with me and my brother knowing we're close and have an affectionate relationship, and did nothing to make sure we'd be okay. He told me I should have put my own feelings aside and done what Kyle needed me to do, and Chantal was like, how dare I blame them? And she called me evil for blaming them when I have destroyed her son. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. And yes, it is your father and stepmother's fault. Kyle should have been told that the two of you are brothers. Plus, you've both suffered the same serious losses in a very short time. That means the two of you have a special bond. Kyle needs to be taught his bond with you will be different because of that. And he cannot force it, otherwise that will only drive you further away. And no one should ever be forced to accept affection and clinginess from someone if it makes them uncomfortable. You have the right to pick and choose who's allowed to touch you. I worry about you, to be blunt. In a few years, you're going to be able to live on your own, and you're going to want to have contact with your brother. I suspect your father and Chantal will forbid your brother from coming to see you, unless Kyle can go too. Perhaps if you could persuade your father and stepmother into family therapy, the perspective of a qualified professional might help you. I worry about the brother too if Kyle has that much animosity against him and wants him out of the picture. Not the a-hole. Harsh truth time. He is not your brother. He's the child of the woman your dad married and nothing else to you. There was nothing wrong with that. Feelings cannot and should not be forced. Them forcing him upon you is a surefire way to ensure that you will never see him as anything other than annoyance. Why do parents and step-parents on here always think they can force relationships? It's so obviously going to breed resentment and tension and backfire every time. Not the a-hole. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to cancel our honeymoon despite what happened with my brother-in-law? My husband, male 32, and I, female 24, just got married 3 weeks ago, and we are currently celebrating our honeymoon. The plan was to travel for 2 months for different countries of Europe, Asia, and Africa. We currently are in Spain, and we are supposed to take a plane to Morocco in 2 days. However, my husband wants to cut the trip short and go back to our home now. The thing is, his brother is in a horrible situation. His wife and daughter had a car crash, and they're in the hospital. The kid is fine, but his wife has to be a little longer in the hospital. That's all I know. I told my husband that I understand he wants to support his brother, but he's not a doctor, so he can't do anything to help really. And his brother's wife is fine. She probably only has a broken leg or something, and that's why she needs some more days in the hospital. I told him to just call his brother and ask to talk to his wife, so he can send her his best wishes, and that's all that he can do honestly. His parents and his in-laws are helping with the kids, so there's really nothing they need help in. I told him our honeymoon was important, because it's a time for ourselves to enjoy and spend together. He wasn't having any of it. He called me selfish and then he kicked me out of our bedroom. I had to ask for a new one until he decided to let me in again. He told me that he's leaving tomorrow because he needs to be supportive of his brother, and told me I can continue the trip by myself. But that's not the point of a honeymoon at all. I told him so, and he said that if he would have known how witchy I was, he would have never dated me. Am I really wrong here? Doesn't matter how well your in-laws are doing. The only important thing here is that your husband doesn't feel right staying away from his family in this time of need. Your husband is not having fun with you right now. He is not enjoying your company because his mind is elsewhere and he is worried for his brother. Yes, it is 100% wrong of you to ask him to disregard his own feeling just so he can keep you company, for your own little sake. You're the a-hole. I agree, but I find it very weird that according to OP, her husband knows what is wrong and is refusing to tell her. She wants to call the hospital and see, but he also doesn't want that. It would get me thinking what was going on, to be honest. I think not the a-hole or everyone sucks here. Unpopular opinion, but not the a-hole. No one died or is on life support from the sounds of it. No major surgeries, and the brother has support. I would not expect my brother to cut his honeymoon short to come home, especially if I had several others helping me out already. If someone had died, was near death, or was severely disabled, it would be different. Yeah, my partner had a severe work accident that resulted in him being hospitalized for over a month. His family was there for us, and my parents. I would have been really confused if any of my siblings have canceled a really big trip to come sit at a hospital with us. A phone call and checking in to see how things were going was fine, not the a-hole. Yes, maybe I'm biased because I'm not close to my family at all, but sounds like they're coping and have a solid support network. It sucks it happened, and it sounds traumatic, but FaceTime is a thing. Also, on the flip side, if I was in a wreck and ended up needing to spend a week or two in the hospital, I would not want my sibling or anyone to cancel their honeymoon/holiday to come see me if it's been established a death is not imminent. Not the a-hole.